Okay, folks, now usually this is something I don't, cover here on the channel. Maybe from time to time I'll dabble in things of my childhood, like, oh, let's talk Disney, maybe a little anime, current day superhero stuff. That's usually on my second channel, but I wanted to talk about the Little Mermaid teaser promo that was dropped on Friday. Look, I know D23, the big Disney convention, happened over the weekend, but I didn't really watch any of the trailers until like last night / this morning because they dropped so much stuff. It's a lot to consume and I was working on other projects, but I did watch The Little Mermaid last night and again this morning, and I wanted to talk about it briefly. First of all, holy crap. When Halle saying, we got a little snippet of part of your world. And I gotta say, chills down the spine. I'm talking like when Whitney Houston sang Impossible during the live action remake that was heavily diverse. Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella from back in the day. And yeah, I love how when I'm not even going to try to butcher it, but when she's like, wish I could be, okay, I butchered it. It sounded like, she was taking us to church. And of course, those in attendance at the actual event, they get like extended cuts. Like they see more of various trailers, extended dialogue, extended scenes based on Twitter. This was a major deal. I mean, this morning, again, it's September 12th. It's number 11 on trending on YouTube. The video itself has over 9 million hits. And the trailer itself is really more of a visual kind of thing as opposed to audio. We get the instrumental for, the iconic Little Mermaid song. And then at the very end, the only dialogue is when Halle's singing the lyrics. But this video is kind of going back to when the announcement was first made for the casting and how controversial that was. Now, to me personally, and I'm not going to lie, when it was first announced, I kind of rolled my eyes for multiple reasons. One, not really the biggest fan of Disney live action remakes. There are only a couple. I can't say there are any live action films that I've watched more than once or twice. I know Aladdin, I watched that twice. I went to the theater to see it, and when I bought the Blu-ray, I watched it with my nephew. I think Beauty and the Beast, I've probably watched that 3 times. Once in theaters, once on Netflix, and once on Blu-ray. And that's about it. I never saw The Lion King. The trailers did not look appealing at all. I watched Pinocchio over the weekend and I wish I hadn't. That was bad. And the list goes on. But The Little Mermaid, look, maybe it's because I'm a boy, but it's not even in my top 10 Disney films. I have not watched that movie since I was a kid. So perhaps watching it through adult eyes, I might say, damn, this is a great movie. But I haven't watched it in a while. My sister has a DVD. I might borrow it and watch it this week. But the second reason about the casting is the fact that if I'm not mistaken, and I did do some research, I believe the casting, or they made the big announcement that, hey, we're making a live action Little Mermaid and Halle Bailey will be Ariel. This was around, I think maybe like mid 2019. Yeah, if you can remember a pre-pandemic world. Yeah, that's when the announcement was made. So I think around the time, because if I remember correctly, and again, I'm doing research as I'm talking here, the whole George Floyd Black Lives Matter thing, that was in kind of mid 2020. So it kind of that stretch between pre-pandemic, then the quarantines and the virus and all, then, police brutality, Black Lives Matter. That there was like a weird period of time for maybe several months to about a year where as a black person, and folks, I'm speaking from my feelings. I know some people will obviously feel differently about it, but I felt like there was a lot of pandering going on for, like, honestly maybe over a year in some aspects, where it felt like, Disney and all these other big companies, like, hell, I remember in one case, there were a lot of voice actors who voiced well-known black characters. They stepped out of the role to let an actual black person play the role. Like, case in point, Cleveland Brown from Family Guy and the Cleveland Show. I did not know until the guy stepped down, I think sometime in like 2020, 2021. I never knew Cleveland Brown was voiced by a white person. Never would have guessed it. And this person, after voicing the character for over 20 years, decides, hey, I'm going to quit and let a black person take the role. Okay. And Disney, has been getting a lot of flack over the years for being, what's the quote that goes around? It's like, go, go woke, get broke, or get woke, go broke. Basically, when you want to, quote unquote, appeal to the seemingly mass amount of people who, cry for diversity and representation, when they palette swap characters, predominantly known characters of one specific race or gender or sexuality, and then that gets switched around in order to appease the masses. And then when you do that, more often than not, you lose sales, you don't sell movie tickets. And Disney is kind of notorious for the whole we're diverse, we're cool, but they don't really do anything with it, where I've seen some interesting feedback, like, wow, well, why is, Disney does, a black Ariel, but why can't the Prince Eric be black and he's not? Or those who say, what if it was a black Prince Eric and a white Ariel? Why wouldn't Disney promote that? Because, they will never do it. I've seen various debates online, but I really want to focus on my personal feelings when the casting was announced. Of course, it was brought to my attention when I was scrolling on Twitter. Man, why are people complaining about Ariel when you look at Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella? That was incredibly diverse. Hell, Whoopi Goldberg was the queen. The king was, I forget his name, but he was the guy in the Titanic who built it. And he's also, if you're a CW fan, on the Arrowverse, he portrayed the professor on The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow on Firestorm. I forgot his name. I forgot his name. This sucks. I used to watch that show religiously. But regardless, Professor Stein, that's what it was. Professor Stein, but I can't remember the actor's name. And, their son was Asian. And then he got with Cinderella, who was black, Randy. And I think that when this trailer came out, it kind of, just squashed all those people who were like, giving backlash. It's still getting backlash, but when Halle was singing, and they got a snippet of the music, it's like, oh shit, okay, we ready for this. But I think, going back to the pandering thing, it just felt like everyone was just trying to show, oh, we're down with black people, so here's a black Ariel, here are black voice actors in various projects. But at the time, black people were like, yo, we just want to be treated like people. We don't want to be killed by the police unjustly. We don't want to be stereotyped when we are going into a store or, a different location, where people like like a restaurant or something. We want to be treated like everyone else. So during the gap between 2019 to 2020, 2021, it just felt like the louder black people cried out about being treated fairly, it seemed like everybody that wasn't black was doing everything under the sun instead of doing what we asked. Hey, we're going to get rid of Aunt Jemima and we're going to replace it with Pearl Milling Company because it's a stereotype. But that's not stopping us from being, killed by the police. Hey, we're going to give you this black Superman movie, which they never made, by the way, but it was a huge, thing like, oh, DC was going to make a black Superman movie. But that doesn't stop us from being racially profiled or, people calling the cops on us just because we're standing around living. So, yeah, it felt like a lot of pandering. But the thing is, it's a fictional character. Ariel isn't real. Mermaids. Look, I ain't gonna sit up here like one of those tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists, but all I'm saying is the ocean is vast. There are different. There's so much of the ocean that has yet to be discovered. So, hell, there could be some mermaid-like creatures down there. I don't know. I sure as hell ain't looking for them. So, I don't know what color they could be. But it does remind me of the upcoming Black Panther 2 movie where Namor is... I forgot what race that the actor is that portrays Namor, but the thing is, Atlantis is going to be located in an area close to Wakanda. So, being that it's like in an African area and that kind of thing, it explains the ethnicity. If I remember correctly, I also think that it was stated that in this particular Little Mermaid adaptation, Ariel and her, father's kingdom, they're located in like the Caribbean, which could explain, oh, that's why she has this complexion. I mean, it really doesn't matter. I mean, it's an interesting touch, like to say, hey, this is why, because I don't really know what it's like to be living under the ocean and how the lack of sunlight and yada, 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 how that affects pigmentation, because it's a freaking fictional character. But yeah, it looks intriguing. I'm definitely interested to see how it's going to play out. But then when you really think about how well the adaptation is going to work, remember that in the cartoon, I'm not talking about the Grimm's fairy tale because that shit got dark fast. Seriously, if you're unaware that a majority of Disney movies, I mean the famous ones like Snow White, Cinderella, and the list goes on, they're based on like these foreign stories that were children's books, and they are dark as hell. So Disney obviously tones that shit down. So when they make their cartoons that are beloved, if you ever look up the actual real stories, they are dark. And there's a YouTuber named John Solo, JONSOLO. He does a great job breaking down, hey, here's the Disney adaptation, but this is what it's really like. So the Little Mermaid, yeesh. But if we're talking like a beat for beat cartoon to live action, remember Ariel doesn't talk for a majority of the film because what if she signs her voice away and when she's on dry land, so it's like, oh, okay, so you got a black Ariel, but she won't be able to talk for a majority of the film. I think it's safe to say that Halle singing can do the talking. But how can she sing if she can't talk? Fair enough. But look, okay, it's kind of like, oh yeah, okay, so you finally give us a black princess, Tiana, and the princess and the frog, but she's green for a majority of the film. So you give us a black Ariel, but she's quiet for a majority of the film. You can't, no, you can't win. All I can say is, based on this trailer, it looks like Halle is doing her thing, and I can't wait to see the full project in May. If I'm not mistaken, May 26, 2023. That's when it's going to theaters. Look, I don't know if I'm going out my way to see it in theaters. I might just wait for it to stream on Disney Plus. I don't know. But yeah, I know that it's going to be a big thing. I think one of my favorite tweets is Halle, or I'm sorry, Halle. Halle's going to do for the Little Mermaid what Brandy did to Cinderella. And I ain't going to lie, I prefer the Brandy Cinderella to the Disney one. The Disney one didn't really do it for me. Again, I think it's because, obviously, being a little boy at the time, I was like, what, 4 to 8 whenever. No, actually, back in elementary school, they would play Disney films. But basically, when I was a kid, boys, at least in like my school and all, we weren't really talking like, Little Mermaid or Sleeping Beauty. We would talk about the Lion King and Aladdin, mainly because, we were crushing on Jasmine and that kind of thing. But yeah, those kind of like the princess films didn't do it for me. aside from Snow White. But I think it's really because the dwarfs were so, you know, essential characters to that story. If it was just about Snow White, I would be bored. So yeah, let's see if the Little Mermaid live action will be like that first film where I'm like, shit, this is better than the original cartoon. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I did not expect to talk this long about a teaser promo, which when you really get down to it is about like 20 seconds of the actual singing and the rest is just visuals. So let's talk about it. How did you feel when the casting was announced? Were you kind of like me, where you felt a bit exhausted by the pandering that, you know, society was doing to black people? Or were you like, hell, she's talented, I don't care? So, yeah. Alright, guys, well, like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button to show you like the video. Seriously, it does help. Follow me on social media. Links are in the description below. And I will talk to you in the next one.